Take me.
Kick it up.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to IoT Coffee Talk. We've got so much to talk about today. Stephanie has been going to so many events, in person and virtually. What is going on, Stephanie? You're just cruising through the hill country or something right now?
Yes, I'm actually on my way to, I'm actually senior mom. So I'm managing some of the senior activities, and we are getting the kids fitted for cap and gown today.
Wow.
So kind of a big day, but
that's a big deal.
Multitasking. I wrote my blog article on the Qualcomm Ventures Summit, or the Edge AI event this morning, and got it out the door for editing before I jumped in the car. So
wow,
that's why it's fresh on my mind as well. That's because I just was writing about it.
So what's the big deal about Edge AI, or what were you hearing from all these folks?
It's crazy because we were talking about edge computing last year, and AI has been the topic this year, and now they've coined the term Edge AI, and it doesn't really mean anything other than we are analyzing data at the endpoint device, or at the point of where we're collecting the data. And I think most of those are talking about it realize that we're still going to have kind of an environment, a hybrid environment, or hybrid architecture, where cloud and edge work together to do all of these things with these large language models and all the things that are happening on the AI side. But so that event, Edge AI, that's a Qualcomm Venture. That was a Qualcomm Ventures event, and they invited a lot of the partners and companies that they are already investing in, as well as some of the thought leaders kind of in the industry on the Qualcomm side were also there. So, so it was just a one-day quick event. I mean, it was in San Carlos last week, which is north of San Francisco.
That's cool. Edge AI. I always think of our friends at Edge Impulse when that started doing their stuff a few years ago with TinyML, but I'm sure these guys are going crazy. And then you did a Lenovo thing. Is that what you were telling me earlier?
Well, I attended virtually. They had, they're in Austin this week, but they kicked off their, I think, what do they call it? The Lenovo Tech event. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. But they kicked off their event in Austin yesterday. And so attended a lot of the keynotes and the sessions for about 3 hours, listening in and taking notes and tweeting, a lot of times what I do, I don't know, do you do this? If I'm attending an event, instead of taking notes, I will tweet about it in succession. And then I'll go back at my notes, because those are the notes.
Those are the notes. I love that. I love that.
So if you have time, you can go to Twitter and check out some of the things that I was kind of capturing on some of the executives that were speaking. But, they had some pop-ins from Qualcomm and Microsoft and Formula One. Isn't everyone partnering with Formula One? I feel
it feels like it. It feels like it.
Everyone's partnering with them.
Because you've had the race in Austin lately, right?
Yes. So a lot of that was going on, and I think that Lenovo had kind of some events like leading up to their kickoff, at the races. So apparently there was some golf and some music activities going on there. So you know what? I think the big thing, even at both events that I heard that's coming down the pipeline, coming next year, coming very quickly, is, and they can call it whatever they want, but this is what they're calling it: AI smartphones, AI computers, AI laptops, AI workstation, and so all the AI on device, everything's on device. So, which artificial intelligence has been operating on these devices for a long time, but I think they're now coining all of these terms that gets the industry excited about new applications, new software, new capabilities, new customer experiences with your device. And that's personalized, customized, whatever you want to call it, right? So that's essentially the gist of a lot of what's going on with the AI side. So
Okay. That's interesting. I
yeah,
caught I caught part of the keynote from Qualcomm from Maui yesterday because they broadcast it, but I had another meeting, but I caught the end of it where they were boasting. It looks like they're going after Intel, or it looks like beyond. They were talking about, I don't know if they're called Oryon, new chips from them that are, they say they're faster than the Apple M2. They talk
yep,
about how much they're faster than 12 core Intel chips on laptops. um, I didn't catch a lot of it, but that sounded like pretty big news from them. For the whole Snapdragon, they're really cranking up the horsepower on that stuff.
yeah. It seems like it's a pretty competitive move and a statement, put out at the event.
Yeah,
And they also brought in all their partners. The funny thing is Lenovo's got their event, Snapdragon's got their event, but during the Snapdragon event, Lenovo pops in. So there's a lot of yin and yang going on, and it seems
yeah,
like there's a little bit of a coordination on some of the announcements that are going on and whose chips are going into what devices
yeah,
and the AI capabilities and the processing power of these chips in these devices. So
right.
that was big news yesterday. I'm curious to hear what Apple and others are and Intel what they're saying. What are they
Yeah,
saying?
no, because you're right. The last, 2 or 3 years, the Lenovo's been shipping one of their ThinkPads is an ARM-based ThinkPad running Windows on ARM. And I played with it, and it kind of felt underpowered, to be honest with you. Great, but obviously the talk track was incredible battery life because it's ARM instead of Intel.
Yeah,
But with those announcements yesterday, it sounds like they're ready to try to blow Intel out of the water in performance and battery life. You know,
yeah, and who was quiet? I mean, they would tout Android here and there when it comes to some of the computing devices, but didn't hear the word Samsung much. So
Hmm.
um,
Yeah,
Samsung's been a little bit quiet
yeah,
lately. So I know that they have some things up their sleeve. They always do, and they're always, they're partnering with these big guys too. But they've been a little bit quiet lately.
yeah,
I'm surprised to hear how much excitement and noise kind of coming out of Lenovo versus Samsung and some of the others that are out there. But
that's a good
um,
point.
everyone think just when you think there's nothing more they can really do with PCs.
Yeah,
Um, one of the companies that was presenting at the Qualcomm Ventures event is they're called Humane, um, and they're launching on November 9th this device. They call it an AI pen. I'm not convinced, but the form factor looks like the bezel of a smartwatch, but
okay,
you wear it on top. You wear it.
wow,
Naomi Campbell wore it during Paris Fashion Week. And that was kind of like their big claim to fame, a big
yeah,
launch for them before the launch, and someone big wearing it. But that's their AI computer, smartphone, contextual PC, all in one, but worn on the body. On the
right.
body.
I think I saw a picture of a woman doing a fashion show thing, and it was wrapped around her wrist. Is that
Yes,
is that
yes.
them?
Yeah, and Motorola made some announcements yesterday, and I don't know
Or
if
maybe
it
that
was
was Motorola. I don't
I don't
know.
know if it's at the Snapdragon event or what, but they've got the bendable phones that can be put and placed anywhere on your wrist,
Yeah,
on wrap it around a pull, whatever, wherever you need it to sit while you're looking at it or listening to it or whatever.
that's
So
great.
yeah, so we kind of went through a lull where you didn't really hear much excitement. So it seems like a lot of events and big announcements coming out right now. So
Yeah,
uh,
but that is
all while
interesting.
all
It's
while World War III is kicking off.
no, just that. Yeah, no doubt. You're
Crazy.
you're right about Qualcomm. I mean, about Samsung being quiet lately. After I guess their last event was probably just their latest foldables and stuff like that. But there was all that talk when you talk about the chip, the semiconductor part. You know, Samsung was not making the progress they wanted on their Exynos, and so they went back to using the Qualcomm Snapdragon worldwide, at least this last time around. Used to do, they would just do the Qualcomm for the US market and then Exynos for the rest of the world. And now they're using it for the whole world. But then there was always this talk, but behind the scenes, they're doing 3 nanometer, whatever.
Right.
And there's working on Exynos that's going to be, competitive with Snapdragon. And so it'll be interesting to see if next year they pop out and go back to their own stuff or not.
I guess time will tell. Like maybe today, like if Samsung takes the stage or is part of the discussions and keynotes today at Snapdragon, then you kind of know where they're positioned. Or if it's more just we're going to continue to kind of go down both paths and see what happens. But it wouldn't surprise me if Samsung and Snapdragon have some things going on today. Since there were a lot of the big names yesterday, that today's going to be some big names, some new big names.
Right. It's interesting in the smartphone space how there's that. I don't know if I want to call it a love-hate relationship that other vendors have with Qualcomm around Snapdragon chipsets. But, obviously Apple has had lots of lawsuits with those guys. And they've tried to build their own 5G modems. They used Intel stuff. They hired away, I remember them having I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 models of the iPhone ago. It was like an Intel based early 5G thing, and it kind of sucked. And then they abandoned it and they go, okay, we'll go back to Qualcomm, but begrudgingly though. I'm assuming, I don't know the numbers, I'm assuming the license fee, the lawsuit was, Qualcomm charging big bucks to have the Snapdragon tech, and for Apple specifically the modem really in there, and so Apple's trying to do vertical integration with everything. They want to make everything in the phone. It pains them to not do that. Obviously, Samsung makes the displays for the iPhones because nobody can beat their OLED screens. Right. But yeah, that's interesting. And so, and then Apple, I guess, acqui-hired all the engineers from Intel that was doing 5G modem work, but still isn't good enough. And so they signed, extended the term of their agreement with Qualcomm to keep getting stuff from them. So I don't know.
You have to bet that if you leave or you try to branch out and then you come back, you can bet you're paying for that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then who else pays for that? The consumers.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I don't want to be picky or anything, but I felt like when Apple had Intel modems in there, they just were kind of no bueno. And I was like thrilled when they brought back the Qualcomm stuff, because the Qualcomm folks really kind of know what the hell they're doing when it comes to cellular modems, beyond just building Snapdragon chipsets for everybody else. So
that is their main, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I'm kind of bullish now seeing Qualcomm kind of branch out and have something powerful enough to go head to head with Intel, like on laptops and things like that. Because I know Microsoft has been waiting for ARM to be fast enough where people will want to buy ARM-based Windows. Because so far they're just kind of sluggish a little bit,
Well, and when you think about what's going on in the PC market, that's essentially one of the things that can still hold on to is speed and processing and efficiency of, using that laptop or whatever, or that workstation. There's not a lot of other things going on. And now, besides things that can be built or added on top of that, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to the discussion that we were talking about last week at the Qualcomm Ventures Edge AI Summit was, okay, we're all talking about these large language models and all of this processing taking place on the device. Well, don't you think that's going to put on additional pressures for the infrastructure side? What are you running on that device? And so Qualcomm sees that vision and they see that future. So that's why they're going hard and heavy after it. So it doesn't surprise me And then there are companies, that are kind of sitting by the wayside. They're playing on the consumer side that's more consumer facing stuff. And I just, again, think that they're going to lose, when
Yeah.
they're putting all their energy into, superficial generative AI fluff that's not
Yeah.
really going to do anything. It's not going to be, it's not going to take off like they think. So,
No, you're right.
um, yeah, I think, one of the things that they were talking about last week was how, um, how does this really impact the enterprise? And
Yeah.
those are the kinds of things that excite me. What's it going to do for customer service? What's it going to do for fraud detection, security? Yeah, there was an interesting security company, Sentinel One, and they're leveraging AI just to continue to train models that detect security, that work on prevention, that have that predictive analysis on security and risk before humans can intervene, right? So
Right.
that to me makes sense. It's like, it doesn't sound glorious like some of the consumer stuff, but that's where it's hard hitting. That's where it makes a difference. And that's where I see AI kind of taking a hold, is on the operation side or
Yeah.
within the device itself, managing the IT things, the basic IT things that we do and we need every single day.
Yeah.
It can really change that environment.
No, you're right.
That's
No,
just
that's
to
good
me.
stuff.
I'm extremely hesitant, and I've been extremely like just skeptical of generative AI as a
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah.
Um, but artificial intelligence used on the enterprise side for specific themes, there's a whole wide range of applications, but that's where I want to see the movement, and that's where I think it's going to take off. Just like what we saw with IoT, it wasn't about consumer, like anything on the smart home and consumer side. That stuff came and went, and so many companies died.
Yeah.
I think it's be similar on the AI side.
No, you're right. You're right. It's like different venture capital firms I know, it's like they only do enterprise B2B stuff. It's like if you show up to pitch them your new company and it's a consumer facing product, they're just like, get out of here.
Come out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I do. I remember watching a couple of the guys from Y Combinator and one of their videos, they put out lots of videos there and they were talking a few weeks ago about, pitfalls or, what do they call it? The tar pit of startups, like where, you get captured in it and get sucked in or whatever. And they were just like, here's some quick little tips that if you avoid these, you're going to be way ahead of the game versus other startups. And the first one they said is consumer ideas, consumer facing products. They go, you know what? Most of them just don't work out. You should focus on enterprise facing products and not consumer if you want to succeed as a startup.
yeah, it's either that or the consumer doesn't even know it's in there, and it's
Yeah.
automatically part of that device, that piece of hardware, that whatever it is, something in your home. It's just part of it's a feature,
Yeah.
and we're not pay. We may pay more for buying that particular like refrigerator because it does more, but we're not going to go, okay, this is the AI refrigerator I'm buying. I'm going to pay a premium for it. There's a lot of stuff that kind of comes down to just consumer behavior. They don't want to pay for it. They want it now. It has to be embedded or hidden or like a secret cost that's added to the actual purchase price. So that, I mean, it's just a mental thing. But
Yeah.
consumers don't want to pay for generative AI. No one's going
No.
to pay for that.
No, you're right.
So
You're right. That's a good point. You read about how many billions Microsoft has sunk into all the generative AI stuff they're hosting of OpenAI, and then baking all that stuff into Windows and to GitHub and to everything. And they've just sunk billions into it. And I read something recently that's like they haven't seen any kind of return from that investment yet. It doesn't mean they won't, but so far they're just pouring billions in a hole right now.
that's
Um,
because I think that on the software side, or if they're embedding this on the developer tool side, if again they're going towards the consumer facing experiences, we will expect that for free. We want that,
Yeah.
but we want it free. And when I go and buy my device or go buy that product, if it's part of it, it might make me buy it, but I'm not. I just like. I think mentally, I'm not going to sit there and buy generative AI on top of things. So,
Yeah.
for those developers that are looking at developing, I think the ones that are going after the enterprise, going after the public sector, going
Yeah.
after the back end, the operational side, those are going to be the ones that take off.
You're right.
Everything else, so it's just fluff.
No, you're right. It's like, I doubt you're going to come up with the next Spotify or Facebook. So just please stop with your whatever consumer app that you think is going to. I'm here to pitch you. It's kind of like Facebook and Twitter, but it's for this narrow focus of this for dentists only, and all the dentists in the world we're gonna capture all of them, and they're all going to use this chat thing with all their fellow dentists, and it's going to be huge. Okay,
I
maybe not.
mean, yeah, let's face it. Does anyone really like talking to the bots? Do
No,
they?
no.
Do they? When they go to their customer service section of a site, and there's all these different options to work with their customer service department, you may go through that chat bot, and then you're annoyed within seconds. I mean, sometimes it just comes down to you still want to talk to a person.
Yes.
I still think there's a lot of challenges when it comes to the customer service side of dealing with trouble ticketing and issues and helping customers. I still feel like there's a pretty big gap in terms of what customers expect from
Right.
those chatbots. But we are gonna. I mean, I won't talk all negatively about it. They have come a long ways, and they are helping guide the call center to who they should talk to,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to, okay, we're coming in blind, right? So
I
I don't
get
know.
I
There's
get
a lot
annoyed.
of positives from there's some positives from that can be taken away from it.
I had an annoying experience with chatbots yesterday with UPS,
Oh
actually.
my god.
Not to just call them out, but oh my God. So, you know how like with the UPS app, well, not like you would know it, but if you happen to have that and you're signed up with them, and then you can kind of say, here's my delivery window from this time to this time. And so yesterday I had my delivery window that was going to start like at 1:15 in the afternoon till 5. And
Oh my
I'm out for like 10 minutes, at 11 something. And I come back. Oh, sorry, we missed you. And I'm
really?
like,
Yeah.
I'm like throwing tables over and stuff like that. Um, I was like, what do you mean you missed me? We are still an hour away from
Did your WrestleMania persona come
yeah,
back in?
yeah,
I got
exactly. I was like,
DDT.
it's like, oh, we're a full hour from the beginning of the window that you can deliver. And it's like, we'll be back tomorrow. It's like, well, what if I'm not here tomorrow? And then
Oh my god.
and so I'm going in the app, and you're looking for the phone number that doesn't exist, of course. And you're going all over the place, and they're like, oh, well, if you pay us this money, you can tell them to hold it, back at the, home base or whatever for them. And I was just like, it was so annoying. But after rooting around, I found this chat bot. I didn't realize it was a chat bot. I thought I was chatting with a person. And then it was apparent very quickly that it was a robot. It was stupid as hell. And you're like typing all this stuff. And it's like, did you mean blah, 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 blah? I'm like, no, I didn't
No,
mean blah, 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 blah.
no, no.
And I was like,
Especially when you start asking questions like, did you mean? You're like, okay, chatbot.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like it didn't want to listen to what I was saying because I was losing my shit. And so I was like,
You were
I want a
definitely
human.
you were definitely an anomaly in that data model that they could not handle you. So we're like, nope.
Yeah. I want a real person now. Don't be
Oh
useless.
my
And
god.
it's like it's kind of like I know Leonard and I were kind of railing against people. We all I think once a month we have to put something on LinkedIn about the cold callers um, who are spamming us on LinkedIn all the time. And I know Leonard said something that's like, you're killing your brand when you do this. As a company, you're a representative of XYZ company. And when you're just spamming, cold calling, connect and pitching, it hurts your brand. And I felt like that chatbot experience and how useless it was and how helpless they were to do what simple. It's like, get the truck back to my house during.
Right.
I was like, you're killing your brand with the chatbot because the chatbot is almost more annoying than not talking to anybody.
Then you have companies like Starlink that there's just no customer service.
Really?
So they just like, yeah, you can order and get everything done, but there's no one to talk to, and you can't talk to them. They don't have a group of people. They don't have a. You can't call someone. I mean, it's all email. Like there is just no customer service.
Right.
So you get what you pay for, but everyone wants that fast, speed, and everyone's waiting on it or signed up waiting for it. My husband being one of them. So
Are you waiting
we
or do you have it?
well, we had not. It's funny because he said, I think Starlink's being delivered. That was yesterday. He sent me a text. I'm like, nope, those are Nike shoes by the 16-year-old. And he's like, oh.
Oh,
So he's like, so it's not happening yet, but
yeah.
we should have them. We should have one pretty soon. I just don't know if we're using it for Bandera or for West Texas yet,
Okay. Okay. Well,
but
hey,
time will tell.
you were up in Colorado recently, weren't you? Or Utah? Where were you?
No, I was in, I need to put a code in to get into school. I was
Uh-oh.
in Telluride.
Telluride. Nice.
Oh my gosh. I had like that is the most beautiful place to be at during the fall, but
Yeah.
autumn.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's just the scenery. It was unreal.
That's awesome.
Unreal.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. Telluride. Just beautiful. That's good
Um,
stuff.
well, when you put here I am at the school thing, trying to
Yeah.
get in. There we go. Got to get the code put in. Yeah, this school has a pretty large campus. It's about, I'd say, 100 acres of
Wow.
land. So in Fredericksburg, there's so much growth, and there's so many development going. There's a lot of residential communities being developed all around the school.
Yeah.
So this little end of the road, dead end road, is going to eventually get extremely busy, and so security and surveillance is like utmost importance for this campus. But
Yeah.
everyone thinks that not in my small town, and this school's like it could happen
Yeah.
anytime. Oh yeah, so they don't play. They've got cameras all over the place. There's still dead areas on. The kids
Yeah.
know where the dead areas are. By the way,
Oh, they know. They're smart. They figured all that stuff out. Absolutely.
what? Yeah.
So Fredericksburg, at one point, I said, we're going to just be a quaint little small town. And that just didn't work out at all. I'm
No,
trying to,
It's growing
yeah.
like insanely, and they can't. The infrastructure can't. It's not keeping up with the
Yeah.
growth. But I think they finally hit a little bit of a bubble because like everything was a million plus just to live here,
Oh my
and
God.
which is insane, and it wasn't like that 5 years ago.
No.
So I think now they've kind of hit a spot where the housing market is finally starting to see a drop, a decline,
Yeah.
and the economy is playing a big role in that. But you just like people that like we had to bring in a new head of school for our school, and we're like, it's almost embarrassing as you're interviewing new people for head of school because it's like, you're just expecting them to afford to be able to move here.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
insane. The cost of living here has gone up. So, but
They can
we
live
still
out in they can live out in
California.
Harper and commute.
Exactly. You're like, I got a spot. I got a place.
I'm trying to remember. I wonder when the actual year or the moment when people discovered Fredericksburg and it went from just what I knew it as growing up to this hot place all of a sudden.
Well, my son started he started kindergarten here, and that, was, 11 years ago, whatever, 12 years ago, 11 years
Yeah.
ago. And and that was right about that time is when they started, all the wineries started popping up all over the place. And then a year later, 2 years later, there were 20 something wineries. Now there's like
Yeah.
hundreds all around the area.
They've
Yeah.
gotten better. They've
They've
gotten
gotten
better.
better. I would say that some of them are just are shipping the grapes elsewhere, or they're just a front. They're not an
Yeah.
actual producer, and
Yeah.
or you just have a place to come drink wine.
No, you're
And
right.
maybe so, but it's there's a ton of new restaurants, a ton of new hotels and motels going up, all, just nice. And, they have very strict requirements because it's the German
Yeah.
town, and have extremely strict requirements on what the architecture, the exterior is going to look like. And it's very expensive to start a business or to open up something in Fredericksburg, but
Right. So
it's
Fredericksburg is suffering from what we've seen. Austin is suffering from like a million zillions of people moving to Austin, and I don't feel like Austin can handle the influx of people, the traffic. It's like overwhelmed the city, you know.
Yeah, Austin's crazy. But I don't ever remember Austin. Since I was young, driving all the way through Texas. I just don't ever remember driving through Austin and not having traffic.
Yeah,
You know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah,
In Houston, it was kind of up and down,
yeah.
but they're definitely spread out. But Austin's so condensed to me.
It
It's
is. It is. And they've got just so many people moving there. It's crazy.
and
Well,
in between San Antonio and Austin, everything's developed.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like they want to be the Dallas Fort Worth.
Right. Right.
But I don't think infrastructure wise, you've got multiple routes from Dallas to Fort Worth. You don't have multiple. It's not as easy infrastructure wise between Austin and San Antonio. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
So
San Antonio still remains one of the fastest growing cities in the United States.
I believe it. I love San Antonio. It's a great town. I think it's the most underrated, not talked about big city in America.